Hey, good morning to you and welcome back to the Higher Grounds podcast. We certainly are glad that you have come by today and met with us and looking forward to the Lord touching us and giving us a good day in the Lord. And as you can see, the studio is fairly empty except for the big dogs, Matthew Tucker, the biggest of the dogs, and I'm just a dog. But we're glad to have you in studio, Brother Matt. How you been doing?
I'm doing good. The rest of the fellas are still on the front porch.
Yeah, they're on their front porch, stringing lights and stuff. Stringing their lights up.
It's the holiday season.
And whoop-de-doo. We're excited about the holiday season. We just finished with Thanksgiving, and that is my favorite holiday of the year.
That's mine too. I smoked 2 turkeys this year.
Did you? I'm glad you went on to talk about the turkey part. I smoked and then
turkey.
Yeah. I bet that's hard to get the lips.
It's hard to keep it lit.
It's hard to keep the thing lit. So you're smoking turkey in what?
Pit Boss.
Pit Boss pellet grill.
Pellet grill.
How did they turn out?
I think they turned out good.
Did you brine the bird?
I did overnight. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, if you ever smoke turkey or poultry or fowl of any kind, you need to brine them and because the meat's so dry. Yep. You've got to get that moisture in that bird. What'd you use in your brine?
I used a kit. I bought a kit.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Walmart, got the brining kit.
Good.
I tried that instead of. I didn't want to make my first recipe the first time and mess up the turkey, so I just bought a kit that was already made together.
Well, I smoked turkey for Thanksgiving as well, but I nearly burned my house down.
What'd you do?
The pellets a lot of them had become powder, and they clogged the auger up and were sitting in there smoldering in the auger. And so I went and I dug all the pellets out and then got the auger moving again. Well, when the flame caught up, it was a big old flame.
So you char-broiled smoke that
It was pretty much char-broiled smoked. Yeah, but it still tastes good. Yeah, but I had never seen so much smoke in all my life. I mean, it was like, you could die from smoke inhalation poison. It was so bad. Yeah.
I know the turkey we smoked was better the next day.
Really?
Yeah, to me it tasted more smokier the next day than it did the first day.
And that's the way it is with a lot of food, particularly like brisket and stuff too.
I like brisket.
Yeah, I do too.
You smoke brisket?
I haven't yet.
I haven't either.
But see, I have, I don't know if any of y'all have this, but I have chronic gout, and brisket kicks my gout into overtime, friend. And so I'm not big on eating a lot of it.
Yeah, I understand that. We've been going to a new place in Mount Pleasant on Sunday, and it's called Mount Pleasant Smokehouse.
Yeah.
And they got the best ribs and brisket I believe I've ever
Really?
eaten. Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful.
Better than the smoke pit?
It's been a while since I've been to the smoke pit, so I don't want to say yay and I don't want to say nay, but I know I look forward to going to eat there when I get to go.
Yeah. I went to Smoke Pit, I think it was Saturday night. Brother Robert Jones was in, and we took Brother Robert and went up and spent some time there at Smoke Pit. My son Caleb and my wife and I, and they have been notorious lately for running out of food. They had run out that night of ribs and turkey, and so it wasn't the greatest of experiences, but.
Yeah,
they normally have good food.
Yeah, so we went there one time and we was ordering, and we'd order something and they come back and say we don't have it, and then we end up saying, well, tell us what you do have, and we'll just order what you got. And so that's how I guess people like their BBQ. Yeah,
they do. And you get north of the Mason-Dixon line, and you use the term barbecue in a lot of places, and it's not smoked meat the way we think of. It's cooking on a grill, hot dogs and hamburgers. But that's not barbecue.
Yeah, you about me to barbecue. I'm thinking some pulled pork, some brisket.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Oscar Mayer wieners.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. But I've worked with a guy at the Sheriff's Department who has a new smoker called a Rec Tech. Mm-hmm. And I understand that they are the deal.
Yes.
I may invest in one somewhere down the line, but I understand it's a good machine.
We went to, not too long ago, Brother John O'Malley had some of us come over to his house, and he cooks on one of his. He smoked I'm talking about some good ribeyes. And I've ate steak in a lot of places, but that was the best steak I've ever ate.
And he smoked them.
He smoked them on 180.
Now, and then when you were with when you were with Brother John, and I go way back with John, but I hadn't talked to him in years, but I remember him when he was a young guy, first getting started. But y'all are a part of something called what?
House to House.
House to House. Won't you? We've never highlighted House to House on here. Why don't you give a little highlight?
Brother Jody Hognett, and he started a Facebook page called House to House.
And who is he? I mean, I know, but
he's a church planter, missionary to, I think it's Scotland.
Yes,
it's Scotland, and he started the House to House. And he called, I think there's 18, maybe 18 of us. And I've kind of got a little slack doing my part on House to House. But every day somebody is giving a devotion on House to House. And they used to be singing on there as well. And so what he done was, back when Corona, the COVID-19 hit, what he done was they started that House to House, because over there they were completely locked down. They couldn't go nowhere and do nothing. Nobody wasn't getting to go to church. And matter of fact, I think some places they're still just now where they can actually get back in their buildings and stuff. And so he started House to House, and so we started real strong. I mean, when we first started House to House, it wasn't nothing to get on to a 20 or 30 minute devotion and 1,500, 1,600 people be watching and sharing and liking. And so it took off real good. It's kind of fizzled down now since everything's got open back up, where you have just a handful of people, maybe a few hundred folks watching. But it's on Facebook. It's called House to House, and there's 18 or 19 of us on there. And everybody takes a turn about once a month and get to go on and do a devotion. So it's a real good thing they got going on.
Now, does it broadcast every day?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, except the days like mine's like the third Monday, and for past 2 months. The past 2 or 3 months, I haven't been able to get on Monday.
Yeah,
and so my spot's been open, but there's several folks that can and can't get on. So it's kind of now it's where everything, you're going back to your normal life, if you want to call it that, and everybody's going to get busy again. So sometimes it's hard to make it work.
Who are some of the preachers on House to House?
Brother Travis Howard, Brother John O'Malley, Jody Hognett, James Burke, Michael Calhoun,
Tommy Cook.
Tommy Cook's on there. Sam Kaminsky, he's on there.
Tommy
Turner, Heath Wells. But some of those guys don't get on as much anymore now. You have your regular ones that do it about every time. So that's just a handful I can remember, unless I pull my phone out.
How long does the program normally last?
We started out, it has got a little lengthy because they shared church services, and then they premiered videos, and then the goal was to start with was 20 minutes. Try to do a 20-minute devotion. Then, of course, it carried over. Some was 30 and some was 40, but the goal was 20 minutes.
I got you.
Yeah.
And it's been well received.
It's been well received, yes, but 2 years, and a little over 2 years
now. It's popped up on my feed numerous times. I've had the opportunity and chance watching a few of them.
Brother Jody, when we was at Brother John O'Malley's, we talked about, so Brother Jody's come back in furlough. I forgot the dates. And he said when he comes back on furlough, he wants to do a House to House, kind of like meeting, Jubilee, revival type meeting.
Right.
And he was trying to find a church in a central location, because we got guys from Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, a central location where we can meet. And I guess maybe some of the preachers on House to House will take a night and preach. And,
that'd be good.
And so maybe when we get that plan, we can let everybody know what's going on, when and where and what times.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Well, we just wanted to come by today and just spend a little bit of time talking to you about the holiday season, and first and foremost, thanking you for being a part of the Higher Grounds podcast. We are fixing to start our third year on the podcast, and the way that the material has gone out and the way it has been received has, I'll be honest with you, it has really blown my mind in regard to how it's been received by people around the country, and the benefit that it has been to a few folks. And that was all our intention from the start, was to put out a quality program that folks would feel like they were with us around the table when they sit down to listen to it, and we could just fellowship and have a good time. And I think we've done that through the years. This past week, on one of our morning minute meditations, we heard from a man in Australia, a fellow in Australia began to watch the meditations, and the Lord helped him through it and sent some message in regard to that. And I'm just astounded at how God has used this little medium to reach people. And we want to say this to you, and I said it recently, I think earlier this week on the live feed that we did from my kitchen table. But I really want you, as a part of the Higher Grounds podcast family, as we call you, I want you to send in material that you want us to cover, things that are of interest to you, things that maybe are confusing to you, confounding to you, or just want a different perspective on. Maybe you've already settled in your mind what you believe, and maybe you know that we believe different about something, and maybe you just want to know how we think. We'd be more than happy to address those issues best we can and share with you for the glory of God and for the furtherance of the kingdom. But it's a great privilege to be on, and I want to thank you, Matt. I do thank Brother Aldridge, and I do thank Brother Poindexter for being on here quite regularly. But I thank you. You have done a great job in contributing to the podcast by way of the Morning Minute Meditation and the technical aspects of carrying on the studio work. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you being a part of it.
I appreciate you let me take part in it.
Yeah, we've had a good time with it, for sure.
I enjoy doing it.
I think the sky's the limit for what the Lord would have us to do if we'll keep our own hearts right and continue to try to help people. Now, this kind of is a little side avenue for today's broadcast, but I was on the phone with my mother on Sunday, and I was talking to her about my grandfather. My dad, he had a bunch of brothers and sisters. I don't know how many. He had a slew of brothers and sisters. Some were half brothers and sisters. Others were 2 or 3 or 4 was whole brothers and sisters. But he did not grow up in a family unit like you and I grew up in.
Yes, sir.
And so it's a little different. His mother passed away last October 2020. She passed away 94 years old. And, Dad's 75 or 6 or whatever it was he was at the time. But I remember my grandfather passing away. My mom, Miss Carolyn Wells, her mom and dad both passed away fairly early in life. Her dad passed away, I think, at the age of, he was either 52 or 54 with a massive heart attack. And then her mother passed away like 64, 65 with cancer, and she had had cancer for probably well over a decade when she passed away. And I was talking to her because when my grandfather died, when we got the word about him dying, it was 1975. I remember being hustled up and hurried up by the family to get in the vehicle to take off to go to Dalton, Georgia, where my grandfather resided. And it was December the 12th, 1975. And my granddad passed away on that day, just a handful of days before Christmas.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, no doubt some in our listening audience, who are going to be facing the holidays right now for the first time without someone that's near and dear to them. I have a friend of mine that I work with at the Sheriff's Department, one of our detectives who lost his dad some time back, and then his mother passed away with COVID this year, and he's going to be facing the holiday season without his mom, without his dad. And he's a full-grown man, but it still is emotionally draining to some people to have to deal with that. And I called him Sunday night after church and just chatted with him a little bit about, how that we loved him. We were praying for him as he went through this. And he said, I have to admit to you, it's really hard. And he said, I'm keeping my head above water, but it's a really hard thing to have to deal with. And I asked my mom, I said, how did that affect your holidays? She said, well, Andrew, she said, it really didn't. She calls me Andrew. She said, Andrew, it really didn't affect me much. She said, we had the children, my 2 siblings and I, and said, we put a lot of our time and our effort into y'all, and so we were able to get through it. But there's a lot of people who don't have anybody during this time, and they're having to handle a lot of this alone, and it's pretty tough. And I know right now this is the first year that you are in that kind of a situation.
Yes,
kind of explain, if you can and if you don't mind, some of the things that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, see, my mom passed at the end of February, I think February 28th. So we're going on right now 10 months. And Mom just celebrated her first birthday in heaven November 27th. And this is the first birthday. And I actually thought about stopping by and getting a birthday card like I've done every year. And miss Mom. It was tough going through Thanksgiving without her, tough going through her birthday. Of course, we went through Mother's Day without her, first Mother's Day without her, first birthday. This will be the first Christmas. And I guess I miss her, and I pick at my uncles all the time when I speak to them. I said I miss the old gal,
yeah.
And she's just she was a blessing to us, and we miss her, and she's been greatly missed in our family. But I guess it's what's got me through everything is knowing that she didn't say goodbye. We're just absent for a little while,
right?
And we'll reunite one day on the other side. But I take care of my dad, staying there with him, helping him, and he's now getting back into the swing of life and going and doing his own thing now. But when Mom come home from the hospital, we got called out there that Saturday night about 2:00 in the morning, and she was having some complications, and so we stayed. So we stayed that Saturday night. I got up. I went to church that Sunday. My wife stayed back with them. And we stayed that last week with her. And she passed on that Sunday, February 28th. On Sunday, we was actually just sat down at the restaurant and I got something to eat. And somebody called my mom, said that they had called the ambulance out. My wife said they called the ambulance out to my mom's address. And so I didn't think much about it because we hadn't received a phone call. Nobody just called us. Nobody said anything to us. But my dad was there with her by herself. And so he was preoccupied with that. And so we get in the car and come home, and it was her. But you just get so, I don't want to say you get busy, tied up doing everything else, but the Lord gave me peace the night that she went to the hospital for a procedure. She's on some type of medication that they had to wing her off of. They was going to give her a new one. But they wanted to do that there at Duke because no other hospital closer was equipped to handle what she was doing.
She had been going through health difficulties
She
for
had
a long
pulmonary
time.
hypertension. Yeah, she had several years. She had high blood pressure in her lungs.
Right.
And it wasn't the lungs that what killed her. It was her heart. They tried to do a heart transplant and a double lung transplant, but she was so far out that the heart transplant wouldn't give her a heart. So she battled that. She's on oxygen 100%. And so they're going to try to wean her off that medicine, get her on another, and it didn't work. And I got the phone call because it's only supposed to be a couple of days. So Daddy called me and said, "Hey, your mama flatlined last night. She's in ICU. She's in bad shape. We're going to be staying here a lot longer than what we had planned." And he said, "I need you to go to the house." And there were some things I needed to do for them because they didn't have planned to stay gone that long. Walking across the yard, going to their house to take care of what my father wanted me to do, the Lord spoke to my heart and gave me peace. And I don't understand it, but God give me that peace, and throughout the whole ordeal, I've had peace in my heart, knowing that my mom was ready to go. She was saved. I'll see her again, and she's not suffering anymore. She's not on oxygen. So it's been tough. I got some. That's what I like about technology now. I know a lot of folks lost their loved ones before the technological age come up. We got something called Marco Polo. Me and her I just talked her into putting Marco Polo on the phone when she was in the hospital because I could see her. She didn't have FaceTime or that, so we could, because she's in the hospital for a while and we couldn't see her. During COVID, they wouldn't let. We finally talked them into letting us come in. Me and my brother come in to see her for that one day, and I got her to put Marco Polo on the phone, and we talked on Marco Polo, and we talked all the way home, all the way there, and a few days afterwards. And so, from time to time, I pulled it out and I'll play
Still
it.
have it.
Still had the videos, and so
that is one of the beauties of
neat,
technology.
Yeah.
We can have recordings right with us all the time of our family members, and I think that's a good thing.
It is,
and particularly if we're Christians and we're not sorrowing as others that have no hope. There's a lot of people who sorrow and they have no hope.
Right.
This past week was quite unique for me. I had become aware 3 weekends ago, I guess, that a local Southern Baptist pastor that pastors the church just below me here, his name is Ben Pierce, and he did a lot on social media, as far as preaching and sharing, and he was a prophecy guy. But I understood that he had gotten COVID, and he was 44 years old and passed away, leaving a wife and 5 small children. And, it was just heartrending, and I wanted to go and be a part of that service. And so I went to the church here, and his brother Jason pastors an independent Baptist church up in Salisbury, Friendship Baptist, and his dad is the associational missionary in Chesterfield County. And so we went and we were a part of that service. And I'm telling you, it was probably one of the most God-honoring services
Amen.
I've ever been in my life. And it was a long service, but they really wanted to memorialize him and do it well. Several folks from the church spoke. He had only been pastor of the church for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then his wife stood to speak, and she's a Russian lady that he had met on a missions trip, and they had gotten married about 20-something years ago, 25, 26 years ago. And so she delivered her husband's eulogy. And you talking about doing a fine job. That lady did a fine job, and it was one of the most God-honoring things I've ever seen in my life. And I'll never forget what she said there, and I paraphrase, but she looked at her children. She has 5 children, and 3 of them are still in the home. And she said, "I want to say this to you children." She said, "From your mother." She said, "Do not get mad at God. Don't get upset with God over these things. God has a plan. God's in charge and control. We're going to see Dad again real soon." And I'm telling you, she just honored God and gave a charge to her children and to her church about giving God the glory in everything.
Amen.
And I'm telling you, it was just a tremendous service. That was on Monday. By the time Saturday came, I was in another funeral. And the funeral was for a friend of mine up in Thomasville, North Carolina, Brother Doug Ellis. Brother Doug Ellis was the song leader, choir leader for the Bethany Baptist Church, where Brother Tom Fields is the pastor. Well, he and his wife had traveled with her mom and dad many years ago. The Fitch family, the Doug Fitch family, sang all over the country. Tremendous singers. And were in tent meetings and camp meetings all over the country. Well, they had been married for many years, had two little old sons, ages, I think they're 12 and 14. I think that's right. But Brother Doug had contracted the COVID virus, and it just took him.
Yeah. And
he's 47 years of age and passed away. And we were in that funeral on Saturday, and I was thinking to myself, how difficult this is going to be for, here's a pastor's wife with 5 children. Here's a good servant of the Lord. His wife is going to be without him during the holidays. Happens right on Thanksgiving week, and then you've got your children that you're going to have to deal with that. This is a very difficult thing for folks to have to deal with going through the holiday season. But I want to encourage you in the Lord, if I may. I don't have everything figured out, and I have, I'm an emotional basket case sometimes in regard to the fact that I am emotional. I don't have hardly any emotions about a lot of things, including death, and that's very strange and very odd, and I get that. But I don't have a lot of emotions about those types of things. But there are people who do. And Abraham, when Sarah died, mourned for over 30 days in regard to her. When Jacob died, they mourned over Jacob. Even the Egyptians did, and they took him back to the burying place there in Machpelah, where he was buried with his parents and grandparents. And mourning is a huge process, but mourning becomes worsened for people during the holiday season. Sir. And so we want you to know that you can receive comfort from the God of all comfort. 2 Corinthians chapter number 1, I believe it's verse 3 and 4. The Apostle Paul talks about receiving comfort from the God of all comfort.
Yes, sir.
and that we are comforted with that comfort that Christ gave to us
Yes, sir.
through His finished work. And I'm glad that we can rest and rely upon the Lord to see us through these situations. There are a lot of
Amen.
people in the world who chase away their grief in a bottle, or chase away their grief by trying to carnally entertain themselves in some way, just to forget. Some things we don't need to forget. Some things we need to process.
Yes, sir.
And a part of living is dying. The truth is, we're really never born living. From the first time our heart beats, we're immediately beginning to die.
Yes, sir.
And from the first breath that we take, we're immediately starting on the number of breaths
Yes,
that
sir.
God has allotted us for life, and it will soon be over,
Yes, sir.
regardless of how long we live. In light of eternity, our lives will soon be over. But I want to thank the Lord for the fact that though we have lost, and it was within the last year that we had to bury a grandson.
Yes,
it
sir.
was in the last year that we had to bury some of the dearest people on earth to us. But I'm glad, Brother Matt, that there's a great day coming,
Yes, sir.
where we will be reunited.
Amen.
Isn't it wonderful?
Hallelujah. Yes,
Isn't
sir.
it wonderful?
Great.
Hallelujah.
Yes,
So,
sir.
that being said, what you gonna smoke for Christmas?
Probably another turkey.
Was that good?
It was good. I got some family members want me to smoke a ham, but everything I find on smoking a ham is already a cooked ham.
Right.
But this is a fresh, like my cousin killed the hog last year, and this is the ham off of the.
Yeah.
So it ain't never been cooked at all. So he wants me to smoke it, and I can't find. So, do you know how to smoke a ham?
Just like smoking pulled pork.
Get it at 165.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's right.
Sounds good to me. I'll try it.
There's a few guys I could put you in contact with that would know for sure. Call Dr. Dex. He knows.
I'll call him. I need to
knows
call him
all
anyway
about
because
that
I've
stuff.
seen some stuff that some kind of recipe for some chicken he put on social media. I got to get the recipe for. Yeah.
He's went into that Blackstone.
Redneck hibachi.
Yeah.
Redneck
yeah.
hibachi. I seen
yeah,
the
he
video.
got the old Blackstone, and he's cooking.
That's why
it
he's
up
not
on
here
the
today.
Blackstone.
No, I was on why he's not
That's
here.
probably why he's not here today. Absolutely. Well, listen.
Hey, can I get my Christmas list before we close?
Absolutely.
Praise God, it's deer season, man.
And
Can we can't hunt after January, can
we can hunt. It depends on where you hunt.
we? So I need to.
Yeah, you can hunt all the way through the month of January in Mississippi and in Alabama.
So we need to get an early Christmas present. We doing Secret Santa this year?
No, Elf on the Shelf. No. You and Stephanie do the Elf on the Shelf. So.
I still ain't never figured out what that was.
I ain't either. I have no idea what it is. I got enough demons in my house. You just remember, there's not but one letter difference between Satan and Santa. You ever seen that on them signs?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, listen, we love you. We appreciate you dropping by, being with us here at the Higher Grounds podcast. We love y'all. And as we always say, you friend, you keep pressing on the upward way. We'll see you next week.